When people talk about paranoid or conspiracy thrillers, they tend to be referring to a very specific moment in history.
He'd kill us if he got the chance.
People have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
A Nixonian-era sense of dread. The belief that, in the wake of the Vietnam War in the 1960s, credible institutions may have become co-opted in the service of forces outside the people's control.
They'll be coming looking for me. Dr. Hill? Dr. Hill, there's a plot. I know that sounds crazy. You're probably thinking, my God, this poor girl is really flipped. But I haven't flipped, Dr. Hill. I swear, by all the saints, I haven't. There are plots against people, aren't there?
Films like The Parallax View, 3 Days of the Condor, All the President's Men, and many others capture the energy in the air of this time. But paranoia and a deep-rooted sense of conspiracy exist further in American cinema, with roots in film noir and even early science fiction.
Listen to me. Please listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
And across cinema's history, the conspiracy thriller has never really gone away. At any given moment, the paranoid energy of the time finds its way onto the screen in some stories. There is definitely something important about particular instances where the political climate and the storytelling climate overlap in some revealing and significant ways. The moment where conspiracy thrillers and paranoid thrillers crystallized as a genre was in the 1970s. This was especially important because paranoia had gone mainstream in American life in a way that we had probably never seen before.
You're a very nosy fellow, kitty cat, huh? You know what happens to nosy fellows? Huh? No? Wanna guess? Huh? No? Okay. They lose their noses.
There was a pervasive sense that behind every authority figure in every institution lay only bad motives and secret agendas. Even our president was haunted with an intense, obsessive paranoid dread.
There's a passage from a tape that I wasn't familiar with from December 14, 1972. This is Nixon.
The press is the enemy. The press is the enemy. The press is the enemy. The establishment is the enemy. Write that in the blackboard 100 times and never forget it.
So while the paranoid thriller is constant in film history to a certain extent, what is always changing is our relationship with our institutions. The screen is often a deeper, more profound reflection of our inner selves than we realize at any given moment in time. So it's worth observing our contemporary political moment.
A North Carolina man arrested in a D.C. pizza shop after brandishing a gun, telling police he was there to investigate a conspiracy theory called Pizzagate.
Hackers working for Vladimir Putin may have attempted even more meddling with the U.S. presidential election than we knew.
Across the country this weekend, hundreds were arrested in ongoing protests over police shootings of black citizens.
And looking at the scale of paranoia in cinema and television in the last few years, it may be that we are living through a renaissance of conspiracy fiction.
Prior to Snowden, you were talking about civil liberty issues, spying, drone strikes, drone technology, preemptive strikes. And so that's a lot of stuff we grabbed onto to put into the movie, and it just so happened that, that it became a scandal with the NSA. But, you definitely want the movie to feel topical because this is a better movie-going experience.
Few television shows or films capture the spirit of the old paranoid thrillers and adapt them for our modern moment as well as Mr. Robot.
What I'm about to tell you is top secret. A conspiracy bigger than all of us. There's a powerful group of people out there that are secretly running the world. And now I think they're following me.
Following a hacker who becomes involved in an underground terrorist organization that threatens to topple the global power of massive corporations and political structures, Mr. Robot grounds us in a mindset of paranoia in nearly every scene. There is a deeply rooted ambiguity that even what the narrator is telling us may be true or false. What we are seeing is constantly subverted by the show, placing the audience member in a position of paranoia that mirrors the characters. Additionally, Mr. Robot manages to capture the invisible power of technologies to influence and shape our reality that speaks to the totalizing sense of powerlessness and paranoia that result. The depictions of corporations as massive international oligarchies to whom the nation-state are ultimately subservient also captures the sentiment that many people feel when faced with our current political moment.
In New York City, it started small. 2.5 weeks ago, a few dozen protesters camped out near Wall Street, demonstrating against what they call corporate greed.
You want to know how it works?
Meanwhile, in the cinema, a film like Get Out perfectly illustrates how richly the paranoid thriller can be adapted to our current time.
All I know is sometimes, too many white people are getting nervous, you know.
No. Tapping into the racial anxiety that has become a large part of our political atmosphere, the film uses the genre to both satirize and make concrete to an audience the intrinsic paranoia of navigating a world shaped by racial inequities. In the documentary filmmaking of Laura Poitras, following Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, there is a paranoia Poitras articulates in every scene.
Is that about the possibility of
visual collection.
I don't think at this point there's anything in this regard that will shock us.
The recent rise in cinematic storytelling in documentary film has also opened up the medium to borrowing from the genre of paranoid thrillers. Poitras makes visible the physical reality of surveillance in a way that immediately calls to mind the emotional landscape of 1970s classics like The Parallax View and The Conversation. All of these works, and many others, seem to signal a revival in the way that politically motivated paranoia moves through the stories that dominate our moment.
Why is he screaming and yelling like that at Nixon again?
Now that he's been on TV, he has instant and wide credibility. Police can infiltrate him into any group they want to.
There is something unique about the feedback loop the moving image medium creates. Culture creates stories, and stories in turn create culture. As we observe an increasingly volatile and unpredictable political atmosphere, pay close attention to the stories that are being told, the themes and messages that keep reoccurring. The dream space of the cinema and television screens are windows into what we are all ruminating on. They can help reveal our inner thoughts and concerns.
And I think it was very interesting that when we were finished, the photographs of Gene as he plays in the film are very similar to some of the wiretappers who were indicted for Watergate.